Hello everyone, it's Tana. Welcome back to the channel and another video for the Rabbit Hole Designs. Today I have my second video for the Wonderland release and the last video for this month. I'm only putting out two because I told you guys I am going on vacation. Yes, vacation. The beach, the sun, the sand. So here I'm going to show you guys what came out in this month's release really quick. We're just going to go over it a little bit faster than we did in the last video. We have Wonderland 1, Wonderland 2, Wonderland 3. Then we have the Sentiment set Heard in Wonderland with that cool silhouette of the keyhole and the key. We have two 6x6 stamp sets, Path to the Castle and Tea Party. And three hot foil cover plates. The Manda leaves, the diamond or rhombus, and the garden trellis. We also have a hot foil adventure word die that can be used with the adventure miniature sentiment stamp set and the word die and shadow die. So today's video I am concentrating on when I was looking up inspiration to do just something a little bit different. I noticed a lot of Alice-inspired art using pages from the book. So I went online and I found free printable pages, and all of them are actually pages that you would find in the original Alice in Wonderland books. So I printed out a whole bunch, some of them just on printer paper, some of them on 100-pound cardstock, and I do use a mix of both. So for this first one, I'm taking a keyhole stencil from my stash, and I ink blended it with Oh Boy, Catherine Pooler's Oh Boy. But the paper is kind of tinted, which I'm making note of now because it looks like a yellowed page out of a book, because that'll come into play a little bit later on. So I'm taking the keyhole and the key silhouette stamps from the Heard in Wonderland stamp set. Stamp those out all around the inked keyhole on my background and moved on to my next page. Kind of worked in a first card, second card, third card, back and forth for today's video. Wanted to get all my pages done while I had the ideas in my head. I took some wildflower silhouette stamps from my stash, and I'll have everything listed down below in the description box on my page. On the Rabbit Hole Designs videos, I like to only list the Rabbit Hole Design products. So if you want to look for anything else, it will be over in the description box on my YouTube channel. So I'm going to go around, and I ended up going in, I tried Twilight, but it was a little bit too light. And I didn't want total black, so I went with Blackjack by Catherine Pooler. I do have some mushrooms from a stamp set from my stash stamped out at the bottom, and I will color those in with a solid neutral gray marker, Copic marker as well. I do that off camera. So after I stamp out all of my silhouette flowers, I move on to putting together the first card. I have some Simon Says Stamp double-sided adhesive on the back of this background, and I'm adhering it to a Simon Says Stamp fog card base. And now I'm going to glue my Drink Me Alice floating on that bottle there and the doorknob onto my card panel. And if you look closely, which you guys may be able to see on a bigger screen. Oh, before I forget, I wanted to mention I used Oh Boy on the sentiment strip, just like I did on the background, but they look like two totally different colors because that background was tinted a yellowish color to look like a book page. But I left it the way it was because it matched the color of her dress. So I just wanted you all to be aware of that. Added some glossy accents to the doorknob and the water underneath the bottle. And I forgot what I was saying. Oh, if you look closely at the pages that I used on these backgrounds, I tried to correspond them to the story or the card front that I was making. So down at the bottom of that first card, it does say "Drink Me" in capital letters because it was at that point in the book. So I tried where I could with the images I had colored and left over, and with the book pages that I found that were free to print. So I took this garden trellis hot foil background here, and I inked it up with some Grape Crush. Now, this is Spellbinder's hot foil paper, so it did work. It inked up beautifully, but it took a long time to dry. Like, I touched it with my finger and it would leave a fingerprint. I hit that sucker with my heat gun 3 different times before it was finally dried all the way through. So now I'm just trimming down this smaller book page just a little bit more, and this one is just printed on copy paper, and I'm using my little like paper ripper to make it look distressed and older. And you'll notice that I used a fluorescent zig real brush pen and highlighted parts of that book page that mentioned the Cheshire Cat, because that's who I'm using on this card front. So I'm going to use my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to adhere that panel to a cement gray card base. I believe it's cement gray from MFT, but don't quote me on that. And I'm using a haunted tree die from my stash to make the tree branch that I want the cat to sit on. Glued that up towards the top of my page, and then glued the cat to look like he was sitting on top of the branch. And then I put Alice holding the key down towards the bottom left. And after that dries, I'm going to toughen that up a little bit, make it a little bit sturdier with a piece of 100-pound cardstock. Just glued that back to the back of the copy paper, popped that up on foam tape, added some glue to that, and I'm going to adhere that tilted onto the card front. And then I use the sentiment, "We're all a little mad here, we're all mad here." I think that was one of my favorite phrases from the sentiment set. And then I took some of these cool little tonic Nuvo like square purple gems, amethyst gems, and adhered those to the card front. For the third card with the wildflower silhouettes, I took a tree trunk die from my stash, used some glue, Barely Art glue, to adhere those to the edges of the sides of the book page. And then I cut out a piece of grass to adhere to the bottom of the book page, just enough where you can still see the mushrooms and whatnot sticking up from the bottom. And then I thought this would be a good opportunity to use Tweedledee and Tweedledum. So one of them standing on a mushroom, the other one's standing on the ground. Don't ask me which is which. I don't have a clue. I think that's the point. You're not supposed to know who's who. I took some tonic pearlescent onyx black cardstock, and now I tried to cut these to be a 1/2 inch each wide, but I always managed to cut them crooked. So I did a 1/4 inch measurement down both strips. That way I have an even side, or an even strip on both sides when I glue them down. Now I'm popping that whole panel up on foam tape, adding some Barely Art glue, and adhering that to a very dark green card base. It's not black, it's dark green. And I almost left this one without a sentiment, but then at the end I decided to go with "A very merry unbirthday to you." But the white cardstock is stark white. And like I said, those pages are they're made to look like old yellowed book pages. So I went in with some antique linen distress ink and ink blended that sentiment strip, and then just glued it to the top center of my card. And that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you like the 3 cards that we made here today. Don't forget to sign up for the Rabbit Hole Designs email to be aware of all new releases. And don't forget to check out the Design Team's Inspiration in the Facebook group and on Instagram. And there's new inspiration every day, you guys. And we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.